Shake it off, shake it off. They couldn't shake us off, shake us off. That's what I'm talking about. Broncos win, Chiefs go down. Forget about talking about a losing streak. There is none. In fact, the Broncos have a one-game win streak against the Chiefs. John, how do you feel, man?
Oh, Kevin, it is such a sweet day, such an amazing 24 hours. I could not be happier. I'm so excited to talk about this game with you today, Kev. Let me tell you.
Dude, it's going to be a great one. Obviously, there are some things that we'll talk about that the Broncos can improve on, right? But all the way around, look, I put out a video 2 days before the game, and I said the words, if this Broncos team can put together a good offense and a good defense, they have the ability to beat the Chiefs. And I'm telling you, they must watch our videos because I said it, they did it, we won. I'm just saying.
It's the only explanation. It's the only explanation, my friend.
Well, hey, guys, make sure you hit that share button. We'll try to get to some comments and questions tonight. Normally on our Tuesday shows is where we're most interactive, but we definitely want to hear from you guys. We try to break down the game for you and just show and enjoy the experience and the happiness we're all feeling right now. So that being said, see you on the other side of the intro. Orange Weekly, fans, brews, and Broncos news. Okay, John, so I think we should model this show based off of the way the media is reacting to the game. So it should go something like this. Oh, poor Patrick Mahomes. He's such a tough player. He played with a little bug. He didn't feel an inspiration he went out there. And he plays through injuries. Like, this has never happened before. I chewed someone out online today. I was like, shut your crap. Is he the first player to ever play with an injury or an illness? I was like, what the hell does that matter? We freaking won, dude.
We fucking won. We won. And I want to thank Taylor Swift for not being at the game to really hinder Travis Kelce's performance. Yes. That was huge. That was good teamwork on her part. I know she is a lifelong Broncos fan, so thank you for coming in the clutch.
I think on the Bourbon Broncos No BS show, and probably won't do that tomorrow because of Halloween, so maybe Wednesday we'll figure that out. But I think we're really going to delve into the psychology of what Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift have going on when they're at games or something. I don't know. I don't know. It's so ridiculous that this is a thing, right? But I will tell you, there is a secret special number that the Broncos are tied to when it comes to beating the Chiefs. That number involves Travis Kelce. And if the Broncos hold him to exactly 58 yards, we will win. Because in 2015, when we beat them last, guess how many yards Travis Kelce had?
It's
50.
Is that the
yes?
Is that the Travis Kelce Von Miller curse right there?
It must be. It must be. But 58 exact yards both last time and this time. So not only somebody posted it and then I verified it, right? I was like, really? And then I looked. I was like, yeah,
I believe you. I believe you. That sounds legit. Yeah, that sounds legit. I believe you.
But hey, so look, Broncos won, and so let's just kind of get into this thing because there's so many good things I want to talk about, right, with this team and what we saw in the field yesterday. But let's, as we always do, John, rewind a little bit and put ourselves back in the mindset we were in right before the start of the game.
Well,
so, John,
here's the deal.
Go for it.
Here's the deal, Kev. This was all part of the plan. How the saying goes: fool me once, shame on you.
Mm-hmm.
Fool me twice, shame on me. Fool me 16 times. What you don't realize is that I've got you in a false sense of security. And so that when you go to fool me 17 times, it ain't going to happen. And that's what happened yesterday.
Yeah.
Fool me 17 times, you're the fool. You have now become the fool. You have taken my spot, Chiefs. And that is exactly what happened yesterday. It all went to plan. 16 games. We didn't care about those games. They didn't matter anyways. 17. That's what's changing our entire season.
I love it.
Yes. So that is my. I knew it was going to happen going into the game. That's my response to you because it was game 17.
Right.
You beat the Broncos 15 times in a row. You can't beat us 17 times in a row.
Well, that's the thing. Eventually, something's got to give. Something has to, like, eventually, a team's not just going to, like, they may lose every game in a season, but even like the following year, like, they're not just going to be permanently, winless. Eventually, something has got to give. And that's what we saw this day. But I think, the players' mentality was very different from us fans. Because I was right there with you in terms of, like, here we go, 16 in a row. What is this? What is this going to look like? This is also a team that has been very inconsistent this year. I mean, we dropped, let Miami score 70 against us.
Yeah.
Then we won a couple close games. We lost a other couple close games. Some weeks the defense is looking really good and the offense is looking really crappy. Some weeks it's opposite. Other times it's, we can play a half, but not the other half. And so it's walking into this. It's like, this is the defending Super Bowl champs we're playing.
Right.
They got their shit on lockdown. But the Broncos were just ready to go. They made a commitment, both on the coaching staff and the player side of things, and it worked out.
Yeah, and I was feeling the same way as you. You mentioned before, a couple days before, saying if we play consistent football, we have a chance in this thing. And I think anyone that watched the last Chiefs game that we played 2 weeks ago, it was proof. The proof was there. Like we were in that game if our offense could not struggle so bad as they did. So then that Packers game gave me hope that, hey, maybe we get momentum here and we go into this Chiefs game with a chance to win. Yeah. I don't know how much I expected that to actually come to fruition, but look, it did. And that's all that matters.
It did. The weather thankfully wasn't really an issue. I mean, yeah, it was really cold, right? But the Chiefs are used to that. We haven't had any cold games in Denver, at least last year, if not the year before as well. So it has been a while since, it's been really cold, but they played for that, And so it wasn't snowing. It wasn't overly windy. So none of that was really a factor. It was,
And to that point, I mean, you were at the game and I think they were calling for snow at game time, right? Mm-hmm. So that was lucky for us. I thought that could play a factor as well. If we do end up winning, maybe it's a sloppy game, where the last person to have the ball, I don't know. Yeah. Some in some way or another, the weather affects the outcome of the game. But yeah, I mean, watching it live, it didn't seem like it was that bad on the field. So I was curious if if that was the camera, if that's how it was at the stadium.
No, it kept looking like it wanted to start snowing again. I mean, there were constant flurries. Like, it never really 100% stopped. So the clouds stayed dark, and I was like, it looks like it could start again at any moment. But then it just never did. And so I think it's just perfect, man. It was the perfect late October football game. That, in terms of the weather and everything like that, nobody really had an advantage or anything, just advantage, anything like that. So,
yeah, it looked beautiful out there, and I'm glad you got to experience it.
For sure. So we got some questions, in terms of, like, are we going to be able to keep this going? Things like that. We'll talk about those things, everyone, on our future shows. So make sure you're following us. The link for our YouTube is below. If you want to check that out. And you also have TikTok and Facebooks and the Twitters or the X. What are they? Are they officially X now? Or does everyone just say Twitter?
You can say X, formerly known as Twitter. I think that's the appropriate way.
Formerly known as yes. Okay. Well, we're on there too. So make sure you guys are following us and checking that out. Okay. So game starts. And I think we've seen the normal pattern of the Broncos is a very good opening drive.
I mean,
right.
I love this, by the way. Like, if there's anything from that we've been complaining about from previous seasons is this. And I know we've said it before on this show, but I will freaking say every week we score a touchdown. They're so polished on that drive. And I think the one week we didn't score was the short week against Kansas City last time. So
yeah,
love it. It's such an advantage to come out and start the game 7-0. And I mean, and we guess what? We didn't have the ball first.
No.
Chiefs go out there, they go immediately 3 and out for -4 yards. So hats off to the defense in this whole game, but especially setting the tone early.
That's the thing with the Chiefs is setting the tone is one thing, I think, because there's a number of times they get down, and Mahomes has a great comeback rate, right? So it's they're used to, I don't say used to, but being down in a game even late is not unknown to them, right? So I think that the challenges for any team is not only setting the tone early on, but then finding a way to maintain that, right? Because Mahomes' ability to move, extend plays, find the guy deep down the field, that Travis Kelce connection. I mean, there's so many factors there that once they get clicking, it's almost near impossible to stop them. So this is go for it.
Yeah, and we saw that again yesterday. It's just the plays that he extended, and even if he threw it for a first down, it wasn't like the game-altering type plays. It wasn't that like 4th and goal type play where it's like he's got no one open, all of a sudden he makes like magic happen. So there were a handful of times he did that yesterday, and I'm just like, this guy is ridiculously good, and he is. Like, I'll give him credit. He's a very good quarterback, but we found a way to overcome that and have a good game plan, frankly, for that.
So, I'm sure you got some different views on the TV than what I was seeing, and honestly, I was so focused on staying warm that it was like, okay, watch the play. Okay, stay warm, but what else, from that first Broncos defensive drive? I mean, and even then after that, I think the next one was maybe not a 3 and out, but we stopped them. Yeah.
That first drive was so quick. It was amazing. It was like, this game honestly felt like how it probably feels to be opposing teams against the Broncos in previous seasons, in recent seasons. I was even thinking of the Jets game where it's like we shouldn't be playing like this against this team. But man, we look good. We stopped them. They look like they came unprepared to this game as opposed to the Broncos. And then we go out there and we have the ball for over 5 minutes in that touchdown drive. A nice pass from, Russ, look, he didn't have the most amazing statistical game, like 114 yards. But guess what? He threw 3 touchdowns, and that's all we've asked for in the past is let's just at least get 20 points. And we'll be, as long as our defense is playing like they have been in recent weeks,
we'll have a chance.
And like you can't ask for more than that.
No. I'm okay with us only throwing the ball 19, 20 times.
Yeah.
When we are as not Van Joseph, as Sean Payton has said,
you'll get there.
Sean Payton said in the season.
In your defense, there's a lot of Paytons.
Thank you. We are a run first team, right? And it's good to see us sticking to that. Right. So we had 40 total carries, maybe a little high. I like to maybe see a little bit more balance, but when you're playing the Chiefs, one, it doesn't matter because we won. That works.
We won the game.
Overly
you can run it every time.
But what I think is the concern is making sure we do find a balance, because not every team is the Chiefs, right? So this is the discussion for more of like what Jerry was asking is, are we going to be able to keep doing this? What are we going to do down the line against other teams? We're really going to look at that, because the question is this sustainable, or did we create a game plan that was specific to beating the Chiefs and it can't really be used anywhere else, right? So that's just future discussions and kind of where we're at.
Yeah, at the same time, Sean Payton talked about that in his press conference after the game, talking about, when you have a rhythm, you have to stick with it. And I'm glad that we stuck to the run game, because we hadn't seen that in previous games. We abandoned the run in some of these losses pretty quickly and became one-dimensional. And, the strength of this team is the run game. Our offensive line is not an amazing pass protection offensive line. They are very good at running the ball. So I don't know why it's taking this long to really commit to the run, but I'm happy to see it trend that direction as opposed to, continuing what we were doing.
Exactly. Now look, Javonte Williams, 85 yards, averaging 3.1. Now McLaughlin only had 4 carries, but 33 yards. So when he did touch the ball, big gains there for him.
That was awesome.
Russ was able to scramble for 30 yards total throughout the game. So, look, and then you look at the running backs, especially in the receiving game. and how involved they got there. 2 receptions apiece, basically, except for Javonte had 3. So look, it's good to see that when your running backs are out there, it's not like you have a guy that teams can say, okay, they're either he's going to be blocking or, he's going to be running a route. And the other guy, that's their running back. When he's out there, the 99% chance they're going to run. With these guys, they're showing that they're really versatile, right? When they're out there, the opposing defense can't really tell what are we going to do with them. Because even Pirine, who is mostly passing, right? He's still got to carry this game. He got a couple carries last game, and he runs the ball well still. So you still got to respect that threat. So I like what they're doing there.
Yeah, you have to respect Pirine when he's in the game because he can have the same effect that Javonte Williams can. Now, Javonte might be a little bit more a big play type of guy. He's going to probably break more tackles, but Pirine, his average yards per carry is very high for someone who's now basically our third string running back. Like, we brought him in to be our number 2 for a reason, and he doesn't get enough credit and he doesn't get enough opportunity, but it's hard to get opportunity with the way that the other 2 guys are playing right now. So can't really fault the Broncos for not getting him that opportunity. But
McLaughlin's the future. Williams and McLaughlin are the future of the running back.
You would assume.
Assuming, yes.
But we also threw the ball. I mean, we only had 12 completions in this game, and half of those went to running backs. I don't know where, with Dulcich out, the running backs are our primary receivers a lot of the times. Judy and Sutton, they had amazing touchdowns, and Judy had a huge long pass. I mean, both of his catches were, game-changing catches, but
Beautiful.
There was only 2 of them. I want to see more of that, right? It worked yesterday, but it's probably not sustainable, to Jerry's point. But I want to believe that this was the game plan, and let's keep in mind, this Chiefs defense, they almost shut us out 2 weeks ago. So the fact that we're putting up 20 against them, that shows at least growth and learning from past mistakes.
Exactly. And that was one of the big things I was going to hit on, because we have seen over the years, the Broncos just continue to make the same mistakes. We talked for years about needing to find a way to get that opening drive, at least points on the board, to get us off on the right foot. You can't go out, 90% of the games and just get 0 points on your opening drive. And so finding things over the long term to fix, we're seeing that. But even just in a matter of 2 weeks, we're seeing drastic changes that are working. They're being implemented, they're being created, and they're working. One of the big things is, Travis Kelce was still open a fair bit, but one of the interceptions we got was a throw to Travis Kelce. So that tells me there's a lot more emphasis on, at least finding a way to have somebody near him, but get ready to step up and catch that pass. And I think after that, it made Mahomes question throwing the ball to Kelce again the rest of the game, right?
It seemed like the game plan from the defense was take away Kelce because we'll let you beat us with your other receivers because we have more faith, that we can take them one-on-one than beating Kelce. Kelce, six catches for 58 yards, like you mentioned. Mm-hmm. He normally has easily double that every time he's played us. So, yeah, I'd say that's a huge win for the defense to lock him up. And look, it made Mahomes look dumb at times when he's scrambling around, like literally going in circles, can't find anybody. Normally, he turns that into something huge. And there was a handful of times he made it look good yesterday, but there was just as many times where it looked pretty bad. And one of those was an interception that basically sealed the game.
Yeah. But that's how you beat Mahomes. Mm-hmm. You're not going to be able to completely shut him out, right? It's stopping him in those critical moments, taking away his number one, weapon, and then making him find other ways to win. And then, you can stop that or at least hold that. And the bend up but don't break defense worked really, really well. It worked to perfection. When's the last time? And would you have ever thought you'd hear the words, the Broncos held Mahomes to 0 touchdowns?
Yeah, I think the statistic, 2021 was the last time Mahomes and the Chiefs didn't score a touchdown, and that was against the Titans. I can't remember. I want to say it was like December or something like that. I don't know. Yeah. But, that's 2 years where they've scored touchdowns in every single game. So you got to give your hat off to this defense.
I'm telling you, for as much crap as I've given them, and rightfully so, and Vance Joseph, rightfully so, you got to give them props for this game, because that wouldn't have happened without a very solid game plan, without very solid leadership, and without very solid execution all the way across the board. So, I mean, you could not ask for anything better from them.
Yeah, I mean, this defense has it looked bad the first quarter of the season. I mean, there's no bones about it, but they've made drastic improvements. And we were talking about it yesterday when we just had that impromptu reaction show. But there's very few things I can think of that. I mean, there's like a bunch of small things that happen, but I don't know what turned it around for this defense. I don't know if it's Justin Simmons and his leadership coming back that's been the difference. I mean, that's got to count for something. I don't know if it's letting go of guys that just aren't producing and they're, have high salaries, veteran players like Gregory and Clark. I don't know if it's guys like Browning coming back. I mean, an unsung hero for sure is PJ Locke, like stepping in. Kareem Jackson, that's huge. And he played well yesterday again. So there's a bunch of like little things, but I can't pinpoint like why is this defense turned it around so quickly? I don't understand.
I don't think I don't think you can pinpoint it to one thing. This defense was so bad for who knows why.
It was historically bad.
People ask me like, what happened to the Broncos defense? And I said, Vance Joseph.
Right.
So Vance Joseph, that's the only thing that really changed.
Yeah, it's true.
So, minus getting rid of Vance Joseph, which we didn't do. So I think all those things that you mentioned are what creates that positive change, and to the degree that we've seen right over the last two, I would say even three, because that first Kansas City game, like we held the Chiefs to low points. It's just our offense that couldn't get going.
Yeah,
right?
I mean, they've made pretty drastic improvements in the last, I'd say, 3 weeks. Even the Jets game, like that was, I'm not putting that one solely on the defense like I had the first like 4 games of the year.
Yeah,
that was pretty much a team loss. And honestly, that's the biggest comparison I have for this Chiefs game. It felt like, again, the Chiefs were in a game that against an opponent they probably felt they should beat, and they just were not performing. And it was a team loss for them, just like it was a team loss for us against the Jets. So it was very nice to be on the opposite end of the coin, against a team.
This is how that feels
in 8 years. Yeah, it was amazing.
Nah, man. So I think there are a lot of positive things that they have done, a lot of tough decisions they've had to make, such as letting Randy Gregory go and letting Frank Clark go, and making the decisions of, hey, we're not going to wait till the end of the season. We're not going to wait till the bye week. These things and these personnel changes have to happen now for us to make. And then there were some other movements. I can't, I'm not going to list them all, but those things together with, I think, getting healthy again, Justin Simmons being back out there is huge. Is what, and then they let themselves feel it yesterday, not right away, but by the end, or, by the end of the first half, when we did a kickoff and our special teams ran down the field, they get to the end zone and they'd start pumping up the crowd, and the crowd in the stands were going crazy, right? You could tell that the players were feeling it too. They were feeling some swagger, right? They're feeling good about themselves. And I haven't seen that from Broncos players in a long, long time, right? And we'll talk about the energy in the stadium and how I haven't felt that since 2015. But to see that from the players too, like they realize, it's not just, oh, hey, what's happening? Like, oh, what are we, what's going on here? They're like, yeah, we are this good. We have this, we're going to make this happen. And get the crowd pumped up with it too. It just tells me they know how important it was for us as well as them.
Well, and another example at halftime is like, okay, we're up 14-9, but the way that we were playing, especially our defense, is like, this feels like we should be multiple scores up at this point. This should not be a one possession type game which is always nerve wracking because we've seen it before. What was before the Packers game? I think it was 10 straight leads the Broncos gave up, having a lead at halftime and ended up losing the game, which that's impressive in its own right, in a bad way. But hey, we held it again yesterday. That's 2 weeks in a row we've held a halftime lead.
Yeah, but I think, I think when we're looking at how, what do we do from here? This can't be that. Now, look, I will say if the Broncos lose every other game this year, I'll be like, at least we beat the Chiefs, But the question is, okay, where do we go from here? This can't be the pinnacle. I'm not saying that we need to get necessarily in the playoffs. The odds are very much stacked against us for that right now. But I'm saying this is the time I was talking about, the second half of the season, really building that momentum and confidence moving forward. There are things that still need to be addressed, mostly on the offensive ball from this game that have me concerned. We still are not taking advantage of opportunities when they do go our way. We had 5 turnovers yesterday. We only scored points off of 3 of those, right?
We did that every game.
We got an interception. Score was 14-3. We got an interception. And then 4 plays later, we turned the ball over on downs. Okay.
That was such a frustrating.
Yeah. Later on in the game, Chiefs fumble the ball. And then what happens? We fumble the ball. Yeah. Right. So we have got to find a way of, I'm not saying that you have to get a touchdown every time the ball turns over, but you should, out of 5 turnovers, you should have, I would say, a decent offense would have 3 touchdowns and 1, if not 2 field goals.
Yeah.
Right. You're taking advantage of those things. And I just still don't see us doing that consistently.
Yeah. I mean, I guess to your point, where we got the ball back in all those turnovers, I'm pretty sure was on the Chiefs side of the field. I don't think any of them that I can think of, I could be missing 1 or 2, were on our side of the field. So in that regard, yeah, we should be scoring more, but I was just happy with the 5 turnovers. We're not going to be able to sustain that. I don't think.
No.
If we can, yeah, we're going to be winning all these games.
But when you do get only 1 turnover a game, it just highlights you don't know how many you're going to get in a game. So when you do get one, you have got to take advantage of it. And we just have not seen the team do that very well. And we did see them do better yesterday, but maybe not to the degree that I would have personally liked, but I don't know.
I know you're a hard person to please. I get it, but
it's never good enough for me, man.
It's never good
like
enough.
Sean Payton.
It's never good enough. Chiefs winning against the Chiefs, but no, of those, the most frustrating was the 4-and-out right away, 4th and 2. It's at the 40-yard line. I don't know, why don't you take the field goal attempt there? That's what, a 57-yard field goal. I have to imagine that's game plan. I have to know that they felt going that direction. I don't know if it's wind or what, that the conditions just weren't right to kick a field goal there. At the same time, it's 4th and 2. You're playing against this team that you haven't beat in 16 games. So maybe you're just taking a shot there just to keep the drive alive and keep going, keep momentum on your side. I don't know, but we definitely could have gotten points there off that turnover. At least had a chance. And the way Lutz has been kicking, I don't know why. I have to believe that a 57-yard field. I don't know. Was it windy in the stadium, Kev? Do you think it was a conditions thing?
It might have been, maybe. What is Lutz's furthest field goal this year?
This year, it has to be.
I want to say he hasn't had any above 50, and that might have been
over 50-yarders this year. But I don't know if he's kicked a 57-yarder.
And that might have been it. It might have just been a
50-yarder.
Did he?
Did he have a super long one in one of these games? I think he did. That could be.
We'll have our awesome audience. We'll pull our audience. Hey, audience! First person to tell us who gets what Will Lutz's longest field goal this year is. I'll send you some Orange Weekly stickers that I need to get made again or something. Seriously, I'll do it.
You nailed that, Kev.
Prize time. Let's roll
prize
it
out. Time. I'm just saying, Lutz has been pretty lights out as a kicker. He had one blocked yesterday, but I mean, that was borderline.
That was just. But that was Von Miller type play. I got to give it to that Chiefs player.
I don't think
if he was half a second later, it would have been clear as day offsides.
Yeah,
he did not cross the line before the ball moved.
You don't put the blame on the kicker on that one.
Yeah.
So, but ever since week 1, Lutz has been lights out as our kicker. So I have to believe that there's a reason why they didn't want to put him out there for that distance in that situation.
And it could have been a conversation like, "Hey, Will, do you feel good here?" And if he said, "Nah, coach, I don't know if it's worth it." That might have come in decision making for Sean Payton, or he might have just said, "Hey, we need to get points. Let's take a risk and see if we can make it pay off." I don't know.
Well, I'm pretty sure that every coach knows going to the game, depending on which way you're going in the field, what's the distance my kicker is comfortable at.
Yeah.
So I think that's a conversation that's had before, heading into the coin toss, basically, that's being had. So
Drake from YouTube. Okay, buddy.
Drake
Hey, send me your address or
That's
something, or hit me
corrected.
up on one of our social medias, and I'll send you some Orange Weekly swag.
Now, what if he's lying? Did we go back and fact check him?
Drake's been around
Does he have to
before.
send us
I
stuff?
recognize the name. Drake's a fan. He knows. He's not going to just bullshit.
I have
us
faith that Drake is correct here.
for some free stickers.
Nah,
Drake.
Like a hard one to look up.
Drake, I got you. Broncos fans right here. We gotta trust each other, man. We gotta, So
I believe it. For some reason, I was thinking he had like a 60-yarder earlier, a few games ago.
No.
Man, yeah. I don't know, Kev. Those points off turnovers. We still had 14 of them. Well, I think 17 of them, like you mentioned. So I will take that for sure. If we off of 5 turnovers, yeah, it could be higher, but we were outplaying the Chiefs in every facet of the game, on defense, offense, special teams. Special teams we gave special teams for years so much crap.
They've turned it around.
And this year they are playing awesome. The kick coverage is awesome. Marvin Mims, every week we pound the drum that he needs to get more involved in the offense, but he's getting involved in the special teams. He had one bad game. He's a rookie. That's going to happen, but he was lights out again. He had one huge return that it all just speaks to the momentum that we were creating in that game.
Yeah, 100%. Actually, right now, according to Pro Football Focus, through this year, Broncos are ranked number 9 in terms of special teams.
Yeah,
so
I believe it.
That's the highest. I mean, even last year, they were in the bottom 2. The year before that, it was 31. 30, 31, ... 32, because there's so much space between how bad we were and the next worst team.
It's been miserable.
It has been. So there's a lot of good things. Now Mims has made those rookie mistakes, and I think the good thing is he's learning from those. I'm not seeing him make those repeat mistakes. He's making good reads. He's letting the ball go, when it needs to and stuff like that. But overall, I'm impressed with him, and I'm impressed with special teams and what they've done to turn that around. Special teams can win or lose you a game, especially those close ones, right? So to have a really solid special teams that you can rely on, they don't have to be number 1, but are they reliable? And we got one of the turnovers yesterday from a muffed punt, right? So they're dialed in. It's good to see, man. They are dialed in.
Yeah, and that I was just gonna bring that up, Kev. That muffed punt from the Chiefs, it goes back to all the parallels I can make to that Jets game, just in reverse. What that kid was coming in at the point in the game where it was like, all right, it's still 14-9. How are we going to blow this thing? And, us giving up the ball there was the feeling in my gut was this is where they go score that touchdown. And, the momentum swings the other direction. And then we get that and we get an immediate touchdown off of that. That's when I truly believe that this could be our game.
I still wasn't there.
2 possessions there.
I thought that, and then I heard my inner voice yelling at me, don't get hopeful, because we all know what the Broncos do. The Broncos over the last 7 years are really good about giving us hope and then just pummeling it at the last minute, right? So, and we'll get, but going into the second half, was the score 21-9 or was that 14-3 at half?
It was 14-9 at half.
14-9 at half.
Stayed that way for the first few
definitely.
Drives. I mean, that's when the blocked field goal came in. Our first drive, by the way, our first drive of the second half, where we've struggled this year, we put ourselves in a position for a short field goal that looked like a gimme, and then the other team, special teams, just makes an incredible play. It's hard to blame.
Tip of the hat
on that play.
Tip of the hat to that defenseman. I mean, that was just, you could not. Now, because of that, what happened later in the game? Because of what he did and blocked that first kick, he got flagged in the second half.
You're right.
And I was like, because the refs were watching him, guarantee you after that, they were watching him. Yeah. And so I knew he wasn't going to get another one, because flying off the side like that, we were ready for it. And the refs were ready for it too. But yeah, going into halftime, because that's exactly where I was going to go next. And before I start talking about that, first off, John, I'm glad to see that you're still smiling after, my Falcons, Air Force Falcons just demolished CSU. And Joey's, was it Joey that said it? Who was it? Or yeah, Joey said, Air Force is the, there you go. He's still got him.
Never.
Air Force is the best football team in the state of Colorado.
I've been saying that all year.
Yeah, but it's there you go. Anyway,
it's a proven fact.
Hey guys, so
by the way, that was a very good game. That was a game that Air Force was supposed to demolish CSU in Fort Collins. Great game. I mean, tied at halftime, and then you guys took over in the second half. I had no good feelings very quickly in the second half of that game.
Those are cool jerseys you guys have, though. Those alternate.
There's a lot of cool things that Fort Collins CSU does.
Yeah.
But hey, we covered the spread.
There you go. There you go. Chiefs didn't even do that. Chiefs didn't even cover the spread. So
just saying.
Hey guys, so make sure that you are following us on our YouTube channel and TikTok and all that stuff. Whatever the teenagers are doing nowadays, we're going to be there. Get off my lawn. We put out daily videos and stuff like that. So make sure you go down. The link is right below, scrolling across the bottom there. And if you don't want to do that, just search for Bourbon Broncos No BS, and you'll find us. So make sure you give us a follow. That would help us out tremendously. Okay, going into the second half there. Yeah, I saw the score and I kept looking at the score and I'm like, when is the last time we were in the lead at halftime against the Chiefs, much less had led the Chiefs for the entirety of the first half? Yeah. And that's where I was like, but be careful because the second half hasn't started yet, And what do the Broncos, until this last week, what do the Broncos do in the second half? They go out there and they go 3 and out, or their drive completely stalls and they get no points. And then it just seems like they just cannot get into it after that, right?
Yeah.
That was not the case, man.
No, it wasn't. We kept the trend alive, and this is, I guess, a better trend of every other drive is going to be a good one, and the other one's going to be 3 and out, or just a quick, giving the ball back to the other team. But I'm okay with that if we're not taking a whole half off, at a time. So,
yep.
And you're right. This is second game in a row where we come out against the Packers. We scored a touchdown, I'm pretty sure. And this one, like I was saying, like we were very. It's frustrating we didn't get a touchdown there, but we put ourselves in a good position to make it, an 8-point game had we gotten that field goal, which that changes the dynamic of the game as well. So,
yep.
Can't talk about that block punt enough or block kick enough, but it was the right move there.
Yeah.
So
agreed.
But then to go out and force them to punt the next drive is the other where we struggled as well. It's not only that our offense comes out flat in the second half, but our defense allows them
because we don't adjust
again. And we stopped
it. It is. And that was a huge, what I thought would be a huge momentum shift for the Chiefs, because what I fully expected was at that point the Chiefs were going to be like, no more screwing around. We're angry now, right? We're going to go out there and we're going to drop a 60-yard pass down the field. We're going to score a touchdown in 2 plays. We're going to have another good long drive after that. And then we're going to be in the lead and we're just going to dominate you, right? That's what I fully expected to happen, because that's what the Chiefs do. That's just how they're built. They've been, this team is a solid team.
Right.
Not, just last year's Super Bowl champions.
Right.
They are established and we are not. So they are able to do that. They're able to get to the line of scrimmage quicker and do more of a hurry up that they were doing against us, and partially because, they were down and stuff, but they're able to do those things and make adjustments quicker than we are. But what we've seen is we haven't made adjustments at all until it's too late.
It's true.
And usually the adjustment is give up on the run game, go to the passing game, and just everything falls apart from there.
Right.
So to see this team come out there the second half, move the ball down the field and just keep Mahomes off the field, regardless of missing that kick. Our defense went out there and said, no, we are not letting you get the momentum. we are going to, that showed a lot of tremendous determination and focus from this team. Right.
Yeah. And to your point of keeping Mahomes off the field, it was pretty even at halftime as far as time of possession goes. But man, second half was a different story. First drive was 8 minutes. Then our second drive, 6 minutes. Their best drive was 3, almost 4 minutes. And that came after the blocked field goal. So to your point, like that actually was their best drive of the second half, was that after that blocked field goal. So, that's honestly, that and the turnovers was how we won this game. Commitment to the run, keeping the time of possession. Obviously, the turnovers is a big storyline, but it turns out when you keep the Chiefs offense off the field, you have a pretty good chance of not letting them score a touchdown or field goal.
Yeah. Yep. It was an incredibly well executed, incredibly well planned game. And I cannot tip my hat enough and give props enough to Vance Joseph, and look, I'll continue to be critical of him. And I still don't think that's enough to save his job this year. We'll see what happens in the second half of the season, if that is something they want to continue or not. But it's good to see that the players especially have not given up on themselves, because when you are a 2-5 team and you're playing the same team you played 2 weeks ago and your offense just got annihilated, it's got to be mentally tough for those guys, So last week's win against Green Bay at home was probably, was a really good thing to keep that momentum going, some positivity going. But I'm really proud of the guys to go out there and for the whole game just say, no, this nonsense ends today.
Yeah, man. 2-5 going into this game is one thing, but think about it. A week prior, we were 1-5 going into the Packers game, and that is, that is Tasselfield lowest of lows.
When's the last time we won 2 games in a row?
I don't even. That's a stat that I'm not going to look up right now, but it's been a while. I can tell you that.
It's been a while.
It has
been a while.
It's felt like it's been a while, anyways. So,
yep.
Going into that Jets game is where I felt, just looking ahead to the bye at that point, was like, okay, more than likely. I shouldn't say more than likely. It felt like 2 or 3-5 was maybe realistic. Like 4-4 would have been amazing, because that would have been one win against the Chiefs. But then when we lose to the Jets, was it last year?
Yeah. It was last year and the year before. We had 3 in a row to start.
3-0 last year?
2 years ago we started 3-0, and then we had another 2-game win streak in that season. Last year we lost 1-2 in a row. Okay. So we have won 2 in a row recently. It feels like a lot longer. So sorry to interrupt, but yeah.
It does. But no, all I was saying was, after that Jets loss, it's like, look, there's a good chance that we are 1-7 going into the bye week. And I was questioning if we were going to win another game this year. And I was seriously questioning if we were purposely losing games at that point. Yeah. And it couldn't be farther from the truth after the last couple of weeks, at least. So it's good to see that commitment. What's that?
And we'll see what happens tomorrow. Trade deadline is tomorrow, October 31st. So we'll see. But even the words that are coming out of, from Sean Payton and from the organization is they're not shopping anyone.
That's what they're saying.
So that's what they're saying. Now that could be to drive prices up or offers up for these guys. But, they're not selling the farm. And that is a big reason of why they are paying Sean Payton $18 million, is to rebuild the team without having to do it from absolutely, scratch, totally wiping the board, and setting us back. So if we are able to rebuild this team in a very meaningful, impactful way without trading away the farm and selling the farm, that's huge for us, because that's going to cut year and a half off in terms of getting us to where we want to be. Because you're going to have more people with experience. You're going to have these guys together longer. They are far away from being a competitive playoff team, but they're not. After this game, we see that these guys can do it. And if they do it consistently, they're going to win more games than not. And that's what I think going into the second half of the season, the message should be is start the second half of the season 0-0 mentally, right? And go out there and win.
They say it all the time that the NFL is a momentum league, and right now going to the going in 3-5 this way is a totally different feeling. I can't think of a higher momentum that we could have had. I mean, aside from winning all 4 of those last 4 games, but to the way we've done it the last 2 games, it's gonna give them momentum into the bye week, going up against, on paper, what will be our hardest opponent for the rest of the year, which is huge. Having that time to prepare as opposed to being, okay, let's say they do sell the farm. What does that say to the team? It's like, how do you stay motivated? How do you keep that momentum going? It'd be pretty hard to do that. Now, if there's 0 trades from the Broncos tomorrow, I'll be a little bit surprised, but
I would too.
At the same time, it kind of sounds like it sounds like we're going to have to get some pretty serious offers for these guys to make it happen. Whereas before, you're looking at the Randy Gregory deal. That's a situation where it sounded like we were going to cut him anyway, so to get anything is good. But it's like we really got nothing for. We moved up 1 round in the draft basically for him. So I'm excited at what I'm hearing. We'll see what happens in the next less than 24 hours at this point. And if it goes the way that they're saying, then that just tells me that they're committed. Their language has been, look, we're not just looking at who's going to be on this team this year, but who's going to be on the team going forward. Yeah. And we're making those decisions based on who we think is going to be here long term. So, anyone they do get rid of, if you take them at their word, is someone they just didn't see on the team, which makes the Gregory trade that much more obvious. Yeah. Or getting rid of Frank Clark, it just makes it more obvious that these guys weren't going to be here long term anyway. So, you take them off.
And I wonder, the Frank Clark hire was really late, late training camp, all that stuff, right? Obviously, Sean Payton he wasn't around. He didn't have any say in the Randy Gregory signing. So it makes me wonder, like, what the mentality was for the Frank Clark signing. Maybe get veteran presence or something on that side of the field, and it never materialized, right?
Yeah.
And the injuries he had and stuff. But when he was out there, the little bit he was out there, he wasn't doing anything. So
he was hurting.
To have that mentality, he was hurting the team more than helping, and that's a great mindset to have. Is who are we going to build a team with, And let's keep those guys. Let's get them the experience. Let's put them in those positions to see who shines. And it goes back to my, when I was talking about Nick Bonito and Jonathan Cooper.
Yeah.
I was sure Cooper was going to be the guy to really step up and just play absolutely lights out. And I thought Bonito was hovering on that line of a bust. He was right there because when he was out there, you never heard his name. You never saw him make an impactful play. But since he's been promoted, he's looked really good. Cooper really hasn't done anything different. Benito's has taken advantage of that opportunity, and that's what you see when you get those guys in those positions is give them the chance. And if it's somebody who makes the most of their chances, that's who I want on the team.
Yeah, he stepped up in a big way this year. Like you, I was not expecting that from him. I think it was second round pick. So it's not like, I don't know if you consider that a bust at that point. He was our first pick last year, so I guess in that
would be where I was like, okay, well, we wasted our first pick of the draft,
right? Right. But the other guys, Baron Browning, man, last week I was so disappointed with his first game of action, and then yesterday it was different. Night and day, honestly, in a 1 week time frame. So, I was very excited to see his production led to that strip sack. I think was it Cooper that picked it up? That one?
I think it was Cooper that picked it up. Yeah.
So that was awesome to see it, man.
Look, we were getting pressure. First time all season, we have really gotten pressure, and it wasn't amazing. It wasn't top 10 type of pressure, but it was something. It was enough to mess with Mahomes, make him move out of the pocket, run around. And that's what sets up our secondary, right? So for success.
Yeah.
Man,
that trio, and the guy that you've been talking about all year, Zach Allen, he finally showed up a little bit yesterday.
Yeah, he did. He did that one stop, the run stop he had, where, I looking at the replay, I'm like, I don't know how he did that. Because he's over here looking at this guy, pushing this guy, and then just drop of a hat, he goes wham, to the runner. I think the runner didn't have He had no idea that was coming. So look, what I'm seeing is these guys can do it, right? It's not just that we beat the Chiefs, it's that they beat the Chiefs in a very meaningful way. We held them to 0 touchdowns. We controlled the game the entire time. We never gave them a chance to come back, right? I think I'd still be happy, but I'd feel a little different if it was our defense held them and our offense held them, but it was very close. And we just ended up getting the ball, in the perfect position for a last-second field goal.
I mean, I'd probably be feeling just as happy, but
I'd be just as happy. But looking at the way we won here, I think says a whole lot more about our potential moving forward.
I definitely agree there. Man, I had a train of thought. Oh, just going back to the run defense, that's been I think that has been the game changer. Oh my gosh, we have like 400 yards rushing to the Dolphins, something like that, something stupid like that. Yeah. And that's been a huge turnaround. I was surprised when I heard the statistic yesterday for Pacheco. I think they said he was number 1 or number 2 in the league, or maybe it's the Chiefs run game in general. I think it's Pacheco though. Number 1 or number 2 in the league in yards after contact or something like that. And I mean, once I heard that, and that was in the first quarter, I was like, oh, that's dangerous. But that's the second time this year. He didn't have an amazing game against us. He had less than 100 yards the first time he played us. And then yesterday, we basically stopped the run game. And man, when yes, it's the Chiefs and they should be able to still throw against you. But if you make them one-dimensional, that's going to make your job that much easier for the defense against anybody. So, and we did it against the Packers as well. Aaron Jones, AJ Dillon, like those are good running backs, and should be a good rushing team. And I don't know what they've really done this year, but I'm happy to see that momentum continue as well.
Yeah. Finding the pieces where we are consistent, and then not so much worrying about that, right? And then being able to focus on the areas that we need to really drastically improve upon. The run defense is awesome. Like, when you can hold Pacheco to 40 yards and 8 carries, that's huge. I mean, that's huge.
And honestly, the 8 carries might be the more important part there, because that just tells you that they gave up on it.
They did.
Because 8 for 40 yards, if you think about it, that's a pretty good yard carry average.
It's a good average. Very good.
Yeah.
But the team we held to 3.9. Which was just right where we were at, 3.8. So we neutralized their run game. We made them give up on it early. And our secondary just stepped up. We made plays. We got interceptions. We got the pressure. We got the strip sack or special teams. Everyone did their job. And when everyone does their job, really good things happen, man.
Can we talk about the 2 interceptions? Well, first of all, is there going to be a game where Justin Simmons doesn't intercept Patrick Mahomes? There will be. It's a tradition now. Like, if there's a line, if I can find the line on DraftKings of is Justin Simmons going to intercept Patrick Mahomes, I'm taking that every freaking game, because that play was just like he threw it straight up in the air. It's like, okay, I swear, if this turns into a completion, I'm going to lose my mind.
On 4th and 28, I was like, they cannot convert on 4th.
No way this is
going to work. And when I saw him throw that ball deep, I was like, oh, God, here we go.
And then I was like,
this came out of nowhere.
And then I was like, oh, who is it? Oh, Justin Simmons is going to get that ball. It's always like, recently it's been those like just toss-up plays where it's just like, or it got tipped or something. It's always Justin Simmons in the right place against Mahomes. Which that's just hilarious. But the other one I actually want to talk about is McMillan. Yeah. That was one hell of a freaking catch in the first half. Holy cow. And undrafted, is he a rookie or
He's a rookie, I believe. Yeah. Look, I didn't really know anything about him until maybe over the last month. And I've started hearing his name more and more. And I remember the first time I'm like, who is that guy? Like, that was really good. And then I'm seeing more and more and more of them. And so I don't know much about him at all, but he is looking really good. Jaquan McMillan, 6 total tackles yesterday, second most of the team behind Singleton. So that says a lot. 2 tackles for a loss, which is tied to Baron Browning yesterday. So this guy is a playmaker. He has come out of nowhere and is really, it's his first season out of East Carolina. So, dude.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he's playing the slot right now. So it'll be interesting once K'Wan Williams comes back, what changes there, if anything. But then the other guy is Fabian Moreau. Like, Damari Mathis is like a non-factor in these games. He's not even like a healthy scratch. He must be on special teams or something, but I have not heard his name. Maybe that's another thing to add to the list of reasons why this defense is turned around. But Fabian Moreau, he's strung together a couple of games now where it's like, again, another guy coming out of nowhere. I think he was on the Giants practice squad last year, something like that. So these guys coming out of nowhere, which is what we need, because that number 2 cornerback slot had not been solidified going into the season, at least in my opinion. So for those 2 guys to be stepping up, one in the slot with Williams out, is just it's huge. And then again, can't talk about PJ Locke these last 2 games enough.
I don't want to say that they have found the secret, or the identity to their defense yet. I think they're close. The question is, can they take what they're doing and adapt it consistently to who they're playing against? Right. You can't have a defense that you just don't know what defense is going to show up each week. And that's what we were seeing through the first quarter of the season was no idea. Well, consistently terrible. Then we saw improvement where it was good, bad. And now we've seen, a couple weeks of good, several good weeks strung together in a row.
Yeah.
And look, my point, the point is we're getting close to ending this. And you mentioned coming up against the Bills, and we'll be away for that game. Yeah. Look, the Patriots beat them. The Patriots were home, but the Patriots found a way, and I think if you can look at what it is they did, and I think we're better, not by much, but we're a better team than the Patriots.
I wouldn't have said that 3 weeks ago, by the way.
No, I wouldn't have. But after the way we've been playing the last 3 weeks, I think, when we play them on Christmas Eve, if it's the same type of teams, I think we're going to be okay, right? But the Bills are not, they're not perfect, right? Yeah. They're looking for some deep playoff runs. They're also looking for that, and they know that they're maybe getting close to their end of their window. In terms of just how many times they've had and the age of their players and stuff like that. So they're motivated too for a lot of different reasons. But I think we go out there and we put up a strong performance. I mean, that's again discussions for later shows, but this team gives me hope, right? You put up a performance against that, or against the Chiefs like that. That just says a lot about who you are as a team.
Yeah, and going back, the energy into the bye week, it's just having that extra week to prepare for this game is huge at this point. Because if we had gotten blown out against the Chiefs in this one, guys would be down. It'd be like, we just want to get to the next game. But now they are energized. They are ready to get ready for this next game. And look, if we make it a close game, we don't have to win this game for it to be successful in 2 weeks. If we make it close, if we show up, that'll get me excited for the remainder of the season. That to show that we can sustain this momentum. The word of the day is momentum.
It is.
But as we were talking about those cornerbacks that we just mentioned, this Bills team has a very different wide receiver room than the Chiefs. The Chiefs had a guy literally get hit in the helmet with a football in the end zone to basically seal the game. And you're not gonna, I don't think you're going to get that same type of thing from the Bills. So
no,
that's going to be a huge test for the unproven guys. I mean, we haven't even talked about Pat Surtain. He's a stud every time he goes out there. I'm not worried about that side of the field. Basically, whoever he's covering, he hasn't been perfect this year compared to previous seasons too. But I'm still not worried about it. He played solid yesterday, and it's going to be interesting what the other side of the field looks like against the Bills. Because correct me if I'm wrong, but Kareem Jackson will not be back for that game, right? So PJ Locke,
2 games suspension.
Yeah, so. PJ Locke will have to be tested again, and those other young guys will be tested. So,
but again, the way PJ Locke's been playing, I'm not like, we're really missing him, right?
Feeling. It's a different feeling.
So. But you're right. The second half of the season for me is looking towards next year. I think the emphasis, like, yeah, if you can get in the playoffs and you can go on a huge win streak and win 6 in a row or something,
hey,
I'm not going to complain. But
oh, really? Shocking.
At the end of the day, right, exactly, no one would complain. Well, except for people who wanted us to tank for whoever. But this team just we've been waiting for something like this for so long, not just to beat the Chiefs, but to be a competent team.
Yeah.
We're finally seeing coaching staff getting competent, getting things together, figuring out their players, figuring out stuff that works, getting rid of the stuff that doesn't work, which is another thing we've had problems with in the past years of player. And what was that? The returner we had who just kept dropping the ball.
Oh, I know who
Yeah,
I know who you're talking about, but
but it's like the whole.
I don't tend to remember those kind of guys.
Right, exactly. That's why I forgot his name. But that was under Vance Joseph, and it's just like, why is he still like? Just put somebody else out there and just tell him don't return the ball, just catch it and hold on to it, right? Yeah. But so we've seen these things where it's like this isn't working. Why are we doing the same damn thing? Which has been the big thing against Kelsey, and I know the argument is nobody can cover Kelsey, but it's just we're making changes mid-season, early on in the season, personnel changes, and it's paying off. It's paying off, man. And that's
paying off. And look, I'm not expecting a win against the Bills. I'm not going to be holding my breath for that. But you talk about the playoffs. If we find a way to win that game, it's a different season.
We're 4-5. We're 4-5 at that point. It's a very different season.
We have the
very
Vikings,
different season.
The Vikings coming. I don't know if they're into the next game or 2 games after that, but
2 games after that, I can't remember.
They won't have Kirk Cousins for that. I think Justin Jefferson may be coming back for that game, but it'll be close.
Okay.
This whole season.
Oh yeah, you're right.
I think
it is Bills, Vikings, Browns, Texans. So minus the Bills, the Vikings, Browns, Texans.
Yeah.
Very, I think, winnable games.
So we could foreseeably find a way to get back to 500 relatively quick, even if we lose against the Bills. And those next 3
games, you could be 6-6.
If we lose against the Bills, but we keep it close and we can continue to grow from these last few games and that game, it wouldn't be crazy to say that we get back to 500. It is crazy to think about it the way the season started, but that's the way the NFL works sometimes, And I think if we get to that point, a big if, again, I am not holding my breath yet, but I mean, you got to say that it's everyone buying into the Sean Payton system if we do find ourselves at that point.
Yeah.
And figuring it out.
To look at this with the 2 losses the Chiefs have, we're only 3 games behind them, and the second half, you look at who we're playing. Yeah, we got some tough games, but the Chiefs still have to play the Dolphins, the Eagles, the Bills, the Bengals, not to mention the Chargers again. So they got some tough games coming down the pike, and so to say that, we're 3 games behind them sounds like a lot, but man, we win a few, they drop a couple, we're right there. Look, we have to make the most of this opportunity we've been given.
Right.
But what I'm seeing on the field is when they can do that in the game, I believe that they can do that in the bigger scheme of things too.
Right. And I'm just happy that it's gone this direction, that I have faith that we are doing everything we can to win these games. Because there was a lot of question marks for a while there of, we were talking about Vance Joseph losing his job against the Dolphins. And then it was, okay, certainly they'll fire him at the bye week with the way things are going, but they've turned it around and you got to give that props to him. We'll see where it goes from here. That's kind of like the catchphrase for the Broncos at all times.
We'll see where it goes.
We'll see where we end up at the end of the season, but he's kept his job and he's deserved to up to this point after the way the last 4 games have gone.
Yeah.
So huge turnaround, and it gives me confidence again in the defense. Something I did not think I'd be saying 4 weeks ago.
No. Hey man, I'm glad that we've been able to have this conversation tonight. And this show's flown by. This show's flown by, man.
Kevin, I did not think we'd be having this conversation today.
Did I really? Look, I did make that video that said, look, this is, but to put the realist hat on and take the orange, shaded glasses off. when you're playing the team like the Chiefs, you just lost to them 2 weeks ago in the fashion that you did. You're a very struggling football team that has been struggling for the better part of a decade. Yeah. How can you go in there with any real confidence that we're definitely going to win this one, right? There's a huge question mark there of what is this going to look like? So we're not going to see the Chiefs again until next year.
Well, the playoffs potentially
if we make a deeper run, but look, this is part of the things that we needed to set us up for success. I did not want to go into next season saying, okay, this team was looking better in the second half, but we still haven't beat the Chiefs, right? It's not that we can just get that monkey off our back of we don't have to talk about the record. That's something we can go into next season saying we have done it. We can do it again. We will do it again.
Yeah. I'm just so glad that we don't have to see the stupid memes and everything about like, oh, last time the Broncos beat the Chiefs, this is the present, blah, 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 blah. I don't. Just stop.
Who was Travis Kelce dating the last time we beat the Chiefs? Taylor Swift.
It wasn't Taylor Swift, I don't think.
No, I mean like we just beat the Chiefs.
Oh,
like all of those memes reset to So anyway.
Once again, shout out to Taylor Swift. Thank you so much for not showing up. You were the real hero yesterday.
The real hero. Maybe it makes me even more of a fan of not being in the presence of Taylor Swift or her music or anything, right? So, but hey, huge props to the sound ops people yesterday at the stadium.
Oh my God.
I'm sure you've all heard. Huge props because that was just perfect. Kelce went back in the locker room, guys went like, they're playing your shake off song when we left, right?
He probably had he probably was laughing about it. Anyways.
Oh yeah.
Props to you, Kevin. I did not think you would come off starting this show singing Taylor Swift. Beautiful voice. Well, I mean,
thank you. I practiced intensely today.
I know. I believe that based on our conversation.
I hit the go live button. I said, oh yeah, how does that song go?
Yeah, right. That's your alarm clock. I don't believe you.
Well, yeah, you got to shake it off in the morning, shake it off. Anyway.
Okay, before last time that was a half-hearted.
That was bad. That was bad. It was really half. That was like 10% there. So, hey guys, we'll give a quick closing thoughts. But before we do, again, make sure you follow us on all our accounts, follow us on social media, and hit that subscribe button on YouTube. It helps us out more than anything else, really. So, hit the like button, all that stuff. Trying to beat the algorithm, like everyone says, because it's a huge piece of trying to get all the Bronco fans involved. Probably no show tomorrow night with Halloween. Expect one Wednesday with a bye week. We might take one off, week off. We'll see. I don't know. But either way, we're going to keep pushing out content for you guys. Make sure you're following us. We do this for you all. It was good to see the fans yesterday. And obviously I've been there for wins recently, not very many. But I guess I'll just say in my closing thought before I hand it to you, John, is just it was so refreshing to be in the stands, especially the last 5 minutes of the game when people were like, this is going to happen.
Yeah.
And the energy was just so real in that stadium. It wasn't like the end of last year when we beat the Chargers and we were just happy we finally won a game, right? It was, this is real. And it was refreshing. So, yeah.
And that's great to
hear. What do you got, man?
That's great to hear because I had no less than 3 different opportunities to get tickets of people like, hey, we have tickets, but we can't get them. Hey, we paid all this money for these tickets, but we're not going to go because of the weather and all that stuff. I was like, well, if I didn't have a freaking sickness, then I would be all over this. But
well, you were sick? Come on. Mahomes was sick.
That's true.
Are you not more dedicated than Patrick Mahomes?
Yeah, he's more dedicated to his craft.
He's also getting paid millions of dollars to be there. Yeah.
yeah. I don't know. I think there might have been different expectations there, but
yeah.
No, I'm glad to hear that the energy was the way it was because I was concerned for, I wasn't sure what the stadium was going to look like. Granted, the snow wasn't there like it was projected to be, so that was good. But I'm excited, again, going to this bye week the way we have. That's amazing. But also, look out for the next 24 hours. It's going to be interesting to see what happens. Again, I'll be shocked if there's huge moves. Maybe one guy, or another that goes, but gotta see what happens in the next 24 hours, and that will really dictate where Sean Payton actually views this team. He's saying all the right things right now, but actions speak louder than words. So it's gonna be interesting, and like you said, we'll be talking all about it, Wednesday whenever we talk next, I guess.
Yeah, so I will say that if there are moves tomorrow, you can 100%, Drake, great question. We will 100% do something no later than Wednesday to cover what that move is and give our thoughts and hear your guys' thoughts on it and everything. If there's no moves, we'll see, just based off our availability and Halloween and all that stuff. So, but you can definitely, if there's some big movement, we'll make something happen to cover it for y'all. So that's what we do, man. That's what we do here at Bourbon Broncos and OBS. So
that's what we do.
John, man, thank you as always, good sir. It's always a pleasure to do the show, but especially when we win, and even more especially when we beat the Chiefs.
And the happy whiskey tastes so much better than the sad whiskey, Kevin. Let me tell you.
Well, hey guys, thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll check you guys out later. Second half of the Broncos season coming your way after a quick intermission. Enjoy the time off. Watch some football without the extra stress of wondering if the team's going to win or not. Just enjoy the sport for the sport. Unless you're watching, hopefully the Raiders lose tonight and stuff like that. So, but John, I think there's nothing else to say here, man, other than to end this as we always do on a very strong Go Broncos.
Go Broncos.
Cheers, guys.
What I like, yeah, I do what I like, yeah, I do what I like. Sipping goose, if it's right, and I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, yeah, I go with the flow, cause I know I'm the show. In the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, in the zone, here I go, yeah, they know I'm a pro.